Welcome to the Main Event Fightcast. I'm your host, Vega, alongside my co-host, Coach Mike. And I don't think anybody would be crazy enough to deny that this past weekend's card was fucking incredible. Like, start to finish, it was phenomenal as far as I'm concerned.
It was a good event, but there was definitely a buzzkill.
There were a couple, but I feel like even the buzzkills made things interesting, bro.
Not exactly.
The buzzkills made things interesting. Like, for me, one of the buzzkills was the ref. I forgot his name. Let's find out. We can find it pretty quick.
Either way, he reffed the
Cesar Almeida versus Pereira's fight. Let's see if we got the info.
He could have completely changed the outcome of that fight. Like,
who was reffing?
Not seeing eye pokes.
Don't say there. Well, don't matter. It was his first fight.
Encouraging the fighters to engage in striking as they're grappling.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Like,
that was pretty bad.
Separated them quickly. DC was completely losing it. Like,
but you know what I love most about that moment?
I guess that makes it.
It was wild, funny, bro. It was a wild night.
I don't want the ref having that much power over a fight. Let these guys fight. Man.
But you see, this is my favorite part of what happened with that fight, right? Everyone who watches the UFC, was finally put in a position where we see what it actually looks like if we do start eliminating these grapple-heavy fighters. And it's still boring on the other side of it. Like,
there's boring on all sides. There's exciting grappling and there's boring grappling.
There's boring grappling.
There's
but the way that he was
striking, there's boring striking.
The way he was interrupting it, you realize in that moment, oh shit, he's taking away potentially exciting grappling. I don't want that to happen.
I don't think it was going to be exciting grappling.
I think it was. I think Eor has enough of a grappling base to be able to get it to the ground.
He kind of looked outmatched, though.
Huh?
He kind of looked outmatched.
He got eye poked 4 times, bro. You look at the peak of your performance after 4 eye pokes and a nut kick.
I'm talking about the grappling when he was actually trying for it. It looked like
he'd already been eye poked 4 times, 2 in each eye, and gotten nut kicked, bro.
That's what I mean. That the ref really like.
Bro, the ref was.
It was bad.
It was bad, but again, in all fairness, it was his first fight. First UFC fight, right? So maybe the lights got to him, maybe the pressure, people start booing in the arena and he automatically is thinking, maybe I got to break this up, it's getting boring, right?
Unfortunately,
stuff like that.
A referee shouldn't be like a rookie player who you like make all these excuses for. There's things that could go down in the cage that we want somebody that is qualified for this job.
I did not think about it from that perspective at all. You are absolutely right. Because there's a lot of dangerous shit that could happen in that cage.
That's like,
and you can't have somebody in there who's not able to spot that.
That's like somebody driving a plane, like flying a plane. Like nobody's gonna be like, oh, it's his first time flying. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, but it's always somebody's first time flying, right?
It is, but
you want to think about that.
I'm just saying, there's certain jobs where. There's no room for like, oh, let's put him out there and see what he does. That's not it.
So you don't think they bring him back at all?
Not in the U.S. Not in that kind of stage. Like he wasn't roughing a main event or whatever. But he was refereeing 2 actual kickboxers turned mixed martial artists. So maybe it didn't affect the outcome as much. But imagine he was.
Imagine it was Rob versus O'Malley ref?
Exactly. If he was the ref for the Rob versus O'Malley's still our champion.
Yep.
And when there's refs like that,
Kayla versus Ketlin,
it just leaves the door open way too crazy for people to be like, why did they assign this fight for the O'Malley Marab rematch?
Right.
Why would they like if he was assigned the Marab O'Malley rematch, what are you doing?
Yeah, there'd be immediate questions.
The fix would be in. Vegas would be on it. And the odds will move.
Right. You know what's another thing that was really interesting to me with this fight, or with the ref, right, is oh man, it just slipped away from me. That's crazy. It'll come back. Oh well.
That's interesting.
It's gone. I don't remember what it was now. Anyhow. Oh, no, it's back. All right, we're back. Dana, during the post-fight press conference, right, he was asked about the ref, he was asked about the judging, he acknowledged how a lot of it was bad, but he then said something that for me was a little bit conflicting, right? He said, I do think that refs should get more involved in breaking it up. Now, in that moment that he was talking specifically about the Mario Batista Jose Aldo fight.
Okay.
Right? He was speaking in reference to that.
Okay.
But just that statement alone, right, goes back to the idea of like first time ref in the ring, in the cage, and this is what he understands from the boss behind the scenes, right? Like there's reason for him to make that mistake of breaking it up fast.
Yes,
you know
he was also affected by the crowd.
Right, and then the crowd is affecting him, exactly. But then on the flip side of it,
that's not positive.
As we always say, people have such a hard time of meeting in the middle, bro. So the next ref comes in, sees how bad of a debacle the last situation was,
I don't want that kind of
Mario Bautista wrestle fuck Jose Aldo.
Yeah, I don't want that kind of domino effect. It's negative either way.
It's terrible either way.
If it starts off this way and ends up that, it should be consistent.
Yeah.
And the other buzzkill for me was the judges, obviously, and it's confusing. Like after watching the previous fights, I turned to you and I'm like, are they scoring points for stuffing takedowns?
Right, the first fight.
Because I don't know what happened there. But with that being said, I'm like, oh, so Aldo won? By those judging standards.
By the previous standards. What was it? Because it wasn't the first fight, because the first fight was Tim Means versus Court McGee.
Yes, that was the time.
And that was an incredible bow submission.
I knew he'd get a finish, and why did I not think sub, which was the highest payout?
Carlos Esparza, T-shirt,
loser that fight
Pennington.
That's the one. That's the one.
Right.
That's the one.
Where you were like, well, I guess Carla wins.
Carla absolutely won that fight if you're a sane judge. But these judges saw it for Tisha Pennington.
Which was absurd to me. Even as the person who was going into it saying there wasn't a chance Carla could win.
But with that being said, did they change judges for the Aldo fight?
Then we had Ryan Spann with a performance of the night. Again, another one that, for some reason, I didn't go with Micah, and I was listening to Mike, and I put knockout on both of these, even though I was telling him, nah, bro, submission feels right. He convinced me on the knockout. But congratulations to both fighters. I thought the submission
would come to the other side, but that shit was
beautiful. Yeah. Both ends.
But it was a punch that led to it, man. It was a punch that led to it.
Yes, it was definitely a punch that led to it. So, you know, the early prelims went pretty well as far as I'm concerned, right? We had two finishes.
Like I said, the fights were good.
The judges.
The only thing that I questioned was the ref in that fight and the judging. I did not understand.
I don't even remember the Austin Hubbard versus Alex Hernandez fight.
Similar. It was similar to that. Like, you almost think, like, is he scoring points for stuffing takedowns?
Yeah, I don't even recall that fight.
I saw it going the other way.
Marina Rodriguez, Yasmin Lucindo was the first fight that I was like, yo, but these judges are out of control.
That was the first one that made you think that?
That was the one that really, because like, Carla versus Tisha, again, maybe I let my mind drift off into the business la land, and I know so many people who subconsciously do what's right for the company even when they don't realize it.
Why kill a possible contender?
Right. You're going to kill a contender with somebody who's literally retiring today? Yeah, that's craziness, you know?
But it's not being true to what happened.
Right. But then Marina versus Yasmin.
I mean, Carla did with that, sorry.
I don't know, maybe I got to rewatch this fight, but there was just so many moments in there for Marina that felt like there's no way this goes to Yasmin. And then when they said split decision, I was like, hey, that's incredible. They're going to give it a split. And then they gave it
once it was a split,
to Yasmin.
I knew it just could go any way, man. Like, but I did think Marina won that fight.
Yeah, I thought Marina
Then Buckley didn't leave it up to the judges.
Now let's talk about where I think, for me, the main event of the night. The main card starts here.
Okay.
The main card starts here. Joaquin Buckley versus Stephen Thompson. From this point forward, outside of a fluke that we're going to get to shortly, the card is stunning, bro. It's just back-to-back good fights.
It was
Back to
stacked.
back.
It was stacked.
Back-to-back.
It was stacked card.
But Joaquin Buckley did exactly what he said he was going to do, bro. He came in there and pretty much worked. And granted, I will say Stephen Wonderboy was not getting outclassed or overly dominated.
This was what I thought it would be a chess match if they stood up this long. But the mix was how often will Joaquin shoot, and will he get tired doing that? Because Wonderboy has really good takedown defense, and he tends to get up when he gets taken down.
And he did that multiple times.
But he didn't overextend himself, and he picked his spots. I believe it was a coaching adjustment too that told him.
He was like, "Yo, you got to go in there, get the knockout."
Because he was basically is not the best technique lunging in like that, but he was timing it, and he timed it perfect.
And that's what I think is the most interesting thing about this fight is that if you had Wonderboy winning on the cards up until this point, that makes sense. If you had Joaquin winning, that's understandable.
It was, thank God there was a knockout because it was going to be a crazy.
Right, it was going to be interesting.
People were going to be upset about this, no matter
for
what.
Sure.
No matter what.
The fight for me changed because of the coaching. Because in the coaching, for me, what I really heard most in that, and I think is kind of the same thing that resonated with Buckley, was you got to get out there and brawl. You're not going to out-technique this guy. You just tried for 2 rounds. We ain't bother you about it at all. We let you keep at it. But now we in the 3rd round, and you got to drop everything, make this shit happen.
It's those top-level, efficient strikers. You're just playing chess with them.
Right.
They've done this all their life. They've played chess.
Yeah.
They're that old man in the park.
Even to that extent, like I would say, it's even deeper. It's like these guys are like guys like Wonderboy at such a mastery level that it's almost like watching a 5-year-old play checkers against an adult. Like checkers, bro, not chess. Just like click, click, click. Like you know that there's literally nothing you can do once he gets started. Like once he gets going, it's just piece after piece you're losing, bro. Like
you want to make it crazy. You want to make it a frantic pace.
Yeah.
Something,
and that's
something
what
different.
That's what changed in the 3rd round. That's how Buckley came in and he delivered. What was a really someone else said it, so I'm not taking credit for saying this first at all, but it was a very Mike Tyson style knockout, bro. It was all body and not really punch, bro. The lunge.
It makes sense because Tyson was always the shorter heavyweight. So just that lunging movement.
And that lunging movement carries your weight behind it so much more than a regular punch. Like a regular punch is still being held back a little bit because you're staying there.
He was also lunging at somebody whose back is against the cage.
Who's backing up and moving to the cage. There's nowhere else to go back.
There's nowhere he can go. He can only go side to side.
Right. And he picked the
time.
wrong side.
I also feel like the cage had a part of the knockout. Like his head hit hard on the cage.
No, I think the cage had part of bringing him back, so we didn't see an out cold Wonderboy.
Maybe, but he was in a bad spot.
The way Buckley hit him, he hit the cage so fast that it was that second tap I always talk about, brought him right back. Because if you look, when Stephen Boy went out, I said Stephen Boy, that's crazy. When Wonderboy hits the canvas, he's already starting to recover. But Buckley hits him with that next shot, and then the ref is like, "This
doesn't know where he's at."
Right, he has no idea where he's at, but he's starting to get back up. So that second shot comes in, and the ref perfectly called it off, ref. I know we gave a lot of shit to the refs that did bad, so let's give some credit to the ones that did good. Because that was a perfectly timed entry. And we have another one to shout out later on as well.
And being in that position, a lot of refs will let him take, because it looks like Wonderboy is in the spot where he's about to attempt.
He's about to
do something.
Yeah. But he was not.
Most refs would have been like, "Oh, do something." No, he's not. He's not in no position to move, do anything. He's out.
He was out. Now let's talk about what I feel was the most interesting fight on the card. Right, and I say interesting because for everything that Kayla Harrison is, and I'll preface this by saying I do like Kayla Harrison. I have zero issues against her in any way, shape, or form. Just not a fan personally. I think that there is still a lot of testing to be done, and you know how I feel personally about people just appearing out of nowhere. And I'm a traditionalist, bro. I like the ranking system. I like it. I wish we applied it more often. You know, but all that to say,
the thing with Kayla Harrison is, I also can say I'm not a fan of the fighter yet, but I've always been a fan of the character.
Yeah, I have no. That's what I'm saying. I have zero issue with her.
She's always known how to lean into things, lean into the Brock Lesnar insults.
That was hilarious. I do give her that. That was fantastic.
And she's made it clear.
That was fantastic.
She made it clear. She doesn't find these things endearing in any such, but she's just not.
Right. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you.
She has thick skin. She understands that haters are paying for tickets also. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like I don't even know that she's a wrestling fan, but it's just the way she goes about everything. It has that wrestling gimmick to it.
Even if she's not a fan, she did appear on WWE.
And it's not fake in no way. It's authentic.
But even if she's not a fan, she did appear.
Possible.
No, she did one.
She did one?
Yeah, she did one. I think right after the first time she won the Olympics, they had her come out and do a little stunt with them. Okay. Yeah, so even if not a fan, she's at least been through the system to a certain degree to know or to have picked up
I
something.
think she has to be a fan to a certain extent.
But my whole situation with it, and this is one of the things I love with the Khalil Vieira fight, and this is kind of what I'm alluding to when I say people coming from other organizations and jumping too far in the line, right? I'll never disrespect someone like Kayla Harrison. She was a champion in a couple different areas, right? So she got to come in somewhere high. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you should come in 6, 7, fight into the 5, and then go there, right? Because then we get to see you fight a couple of times before the belt, right?
I applaud them when they come in and they're saying names and go after them. At this point, I'm already bored of Bo Nichols because he's fought what we would consider cans, but he's always had these big names in his mouth already. You can't say Izzy when you first came around, fight 4 people, and you're nowhere near that now.
Right.
If you wanted to do that, keep those guys' names out your mouth because you're almost insulting the fans' intelligence when you do that.
Because it's you're saying their names to draw attention.
Mm-hmm.
But
what you're also saying is your last performance didn't make you confident enough to go with what you were thinking. But
this is exactly my point, right? I like that Bo Nichols was put in that position for you to be able to make that decision. Mm-hmm. Kayla's put in a position where we don't get to make the decision. It's forced on us, right? And in my opinion,
she's got experience in the actual sport. They both are very decorated outside the sport with something that's considered the best base in wrestling.
But Bo's entire career so far in MMA is UFC.
Exactly.
Right? So for Kayla, what I'm saying is coming in somewhere just a little lower to prove herself against a couple people. Yeah. You beat Holly Holm, but also everyone expected you to beat Holly Holm, despite her being a previous champion or former champion, because of your style, her style, and her age, her history already. We're already here. We understand what's going to happen, right? I want to see her against more people in the Khalil Vieira range, right? Why not put her against?
It's not bad when she went Holly, then she went with the girl that previously beat Holly. It's a slow burn if you ask me, but
I don't think so. It's about to be a third fight.
To me, the only way that it looks bad is if after her not so great performance, Juliana Peña is saying, "Okay, y'all want Kayla? I wasn't impressed with her, but if y'all think she's the next in line, I'll take her." And she goes, "Whoa! I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna fight Raquel Pennington first. Then I'm gonna fight you." That looks bad. That looks like she's resetting herself.
But again, she's not resetting herself because she's not the. But this is what I'm saying. She's not doing anything.
Exactly.
Because the UFC part versus with Bo.
That's what I was gonna say. Her coming in and saying names and the UFC agreeing is on the UFC side.
No, this is you're
saying
missing
that our ranking system isn't really moving the needle right now.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But we don't know that, right? So there are people who could potentially test Kayla. That we're never going to see her fight.
I also think it has more to do with the business side.
Of course it does.
Than the actual competitive side.
Yeah.
Because
that's the part that I don't like.
They would hate to match her up with, not saying that Kaylin is the killer. She's very good, but she's been losing lately against the top level, and it was a good way to test Kayla's level. But I don't think they would have matched her up against somebody it's just been more dangerous, somebody that's more decorated with submissions. Imagine there was somebody down there with with 6 straight sub wins. It wouldn't fit good in the matchup, and it's like, damn, that's not only a tough matchup. This girl doesn't even have a name yet, so you don't want to kill your prospect with somebody who doesn't even have a name yet. And I think that's just the business side.
Yeah, no, of course, that's the business side strictly for sure. But when
you look at the list, who you think there would have been that person?
Would have been a fun match?
No, the person that was most dangerous for Kayla Harrison.
It's not about who's most dangerous. This is what I'm saying. You're jumping too fast to the idea of just like she's just proving. No, I'm saying we have to see her, see who she is, right? Like right now, the mentality you're already basing it off of what she's done so far, what the UFC is just agreeing to. But I'm saying when fighters come into the organization, even if they come from other organizations, right? For the list of fighters that are already active, right? Yeah, Irene Aldana did absolutely terrible in her performance for the belt, right? But why not put her up against Kayla Harrison? She didn't get out grappled by Amanda Nunes. So why not put an amazing striker to really test this person who's supposed to be this good? Because as we just saw, Ketlin is a decent striker, decent takedown specialist, but now you're going to put her against Juliana Peña.
Yeah, but right? Irene is still recovering from that cut. Like she had a thing. But I see what you're saying in the matchup.
This was booked before that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a timetable
So that's what I'm saying.
To me, the tougher matchup would have been Macy.
Oh, Macy Chasson would have been an interesting matchup that we might never get to see because Macy still got to go through this person or this person to get to the belt. There's already the conversation of Amanda coming back if Kayla gets the belt, right? So
I can also see the narrative that the UFC might have cherry-picked this in the fact that Caitlin is somebody who's comfortable on her back and it might be dangerous for her because she would have probably thought like, oh, when I get taken down, I'm still fine there.
Yeah, and instead she was just like, "You're not taking me down."
Exactly.
I can just prove. I can just prove to the UFC you can't take people down.
Yeah, she was smart enough to know that I don't want to go down there.
You know.
But there's probably other people that she would have been more inclined to go down there, even pull guard.
Right.
But
so that's my.
I can see the theory of the UFC cherry picking that, and
I hate that. Like I hate whenever there's any type of narratives that there was any type of cherry picking because I think it's disrespectful to the fighter. I think it's disrespectful to the matchmakers.
I agree. I agree, but
when you make it hard, when you make it hard to argue,
it's impossible to prove these things. But if it looks like it is enough, it's not hard. It's enough to build a theory.
It's impossible to prove it. It's not impossible to disprove it.
Oh no.
So it's like but. This next fight is what I found to be the funniest fight on the whole card, right? And that needs to be prefaced with a little bit of like, you have to have watched the press conference and seen some of their interaction. Mm-hmm. I'm no comedian, so I can't really repeat the whole thing and make it super funny. But ultimately, Kevin Holland was asked a question, and he was asked a question about a comment he made earlier in the week where he said, the only way Roman beats him is if he takes him down. And we know he's going to be trying to take him down. So during the press conference, when asked this question, Kevin doubles down. He's like, yes, this is literally, like, who else has he beat without a takedown? Like, he hasn't beat anybody without a takedown. And Roman interrupts and starts going. So they have their little back and forth where Holland's just like, yo, bro, just wait your turn. They're going to ask you a question next. And he's just sunning them the whole time. So fast forward to the fight, and Roman Dolidze goes for a takedown, and the takedown leads to a broken rib for Kevin Holland, which leads to his corner having to throw in the towel, because if you've never broken a rib, it is one of the most painful things on this planet. I've broken 2 of them, and it hurts when you move, it hurts when you breathe, it hurts when you think. It's super uncomfortable. I was baffled that he almost got himself back into the fight. I was like, there's no way you're going to do that, bro.
He almost psyched himself.
There's no one body shot. You're going to be screaming in pain. Everyone looking at you knows this. There's no way you're going back in the fight.
His team was about to drop the ball, letting him make
Yo, they really were about to.
Let him make it. You don't let him make that decision.
And I don't even understand why. Like, he's not fighting for a belt or anything like that. Like, this isn't that moment to go all in like that, like we're going to talk about later.
Yeah. The thing is with this fight, I thought Roman will win. but I'm still a Kevin Holland fan, and I wanted him to win.
The only reason I thought Kevin Holland was going to win this fight was because Delitse kept saying he was not going to do the takedown. And honestly, I didn't think he was like game planning it. I thought it was like, this was really starting to get under his skin from the media, from the people, and it was getting him frustrated. And to start the fight... I
think at this point, grapplers are saying, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm fighting my fight.
And then to start the fight, he did kind of stay on the feet for a little bit. A little longer than I expected him to, at least. And then he shot the takedown in that one grappling exchange, much like Kevin Holland's last win, where one grappling exchange changed the whole thing and ended the fight. Similar situation here, except this was one of those weird moments we never want to see for a fighter.
To me, this was the most disappointing fight because of how it went down like that.
Yeah, super disappointing.
Kevin Holland always brings a fun scrap. And
maybe
I spoke too soon with that being the most disappointing.
We already alluded to the Jose Aldo Mario Batista fight. So I think as just a UFC fan, like a fan of UFC and what is brought to the world, these two fight results back to back were absolutely heartbreaking. Like a snuggle fest from Batista, because it's one thing if you're actually getting a takedown. It's one thing if you're actually pulling something off, but if you're just holding someone against the cage, seemingly because they're tired, like you're not winning the fight, bro. You're just both hugging each other and being tired. So as a long-term UFC fan, to watch the King Jose Aldo lose a decision like that, and then right after seeing one of the most fun fighters to watch in the organization's history, Kevin Holland, take a L the way he did, this was the hardest 30 minutes of the whole night.
This is proof that it doesn't matter what a fighter tells you before the fight. They're going to do what it takes to win.
By whatever the rules let them win by. Yep.
To be talking trash on somebody saying that they're over the hill and that kind of stuff.
And then that's the best game plan you could come up with? That was the only way you could win, was to hold them and squeeze them?
You just wanted to stay in distance. You didn't want to feel those leg kicks anymore.
Just wanted to stay safe and get to the win.
Didn't do it for me.
Yeah. So which brings us to a very interesting moment, because I'm conflicted, right? On one side, I see no problem with our acquaintance MMA guru putting out a $10,000 bounty, maybe $20,000, $10,000 bounty on a knockout for Mario Batista. Now, here's where I'm conflicted, right? I'm conflicted because on the one hand, he did everything right? He set out the exact parameters by what he is going to pay out, therefore ensuring fighter safety from crazy fans and nutcases out there. Because the parameters he set out were exactly under UFC contract, actively fighting, sanctioned fight in a cage, scheduled against Mario Batista, get the knockout. So with all those conditions, it's hard to be mad at it because he didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Like everything is right.
I loved it.
But
he was as upset about the fight as I was, but he's willing to
put his money on it.
Put his money on
his
it.
Mouth on it.
Give whoever fights him.
But
incentive to do their job and finish him.
As a
I have no problem with
a fighter, former competitor, whatever space you want to throw me in for this analysis, right? The disrespect is hard. Like, that's a really tough one to get by.
It's disrespectful to Batista, but at the end of the day,
but on multiple levels, because
you're looking a mirror moment. You bored somebody so bad.
But why do I owe you this?
You don't owe me anything. I'm telling you that you bored me so much, I'm willing to pay $10,000 extra to the next person who's able to knock you out.
See, but that's the thing.
For my entertainment.
But that's the thing. That makes it personal.
Yes and no. And yes and no, because I'm not saying like I want to knock you out or something like that. I just want to see somebody knock you out when they're supposed to. And their job is to try to knock you out.
That makes it personal, bro. Like to keep it not personal. Look, this is how you keep it not personal and do the same thing, right? You keep it not personal by saying, on Mario Batista's next fight, whoever his opponent is, I am betting $10,000 on the knockout. Right? Like, you made it personal by saying directly to the fighter, yo, I'm incentivizing you to do this.
No, I see
that for me is where you draw the line.
Personal, but
right, that draws a major
as the
line.
fighter, you had to take the Joker. So you had to just be the villain, all about it. Like,
it's tough because yes, the strategy you outline for the fighter is, yo, just chill out, take the villain route, get the win, and never let him get this payout, right? However, the thing with that is there's no losing situation for Guru. So it's hard to let that sit because he's not giving anybody money up front. It's only if it happens. He can continue doing this forever and just keep this thing going. And I think it would bother me a little bit less if it was just a random fan. But you're a member of the media. You're someone that literally is you're within an accessible range where a certain level of respect is demanded.
He's also taking the villain route of late anyways.
Yeah, and I think he's overdoing it. You know, the back and forth with John Jones was a lot. The recent Nina drama was a lot.
I think he's been overdoing it, and to be honest, this is one of the things I'm not upset about. He upsets me.
That's just because you're mad at Mario Batista more than you are at this situation.
I guess. Listen, I'd never be mad enough to give that incentive. But like,
that's what I'm saying. You understand how personal it has to be for you to be so mad?
He's not Mario Batista is not the first guy to take this approach. We can argue that Merab did that, but I don't think the Merab fight was that boring. It was as boring as that one, to be honest. And it was 5 rounds
against Aldo.
No, that was definitely more exciting. That was even more exciting than Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the Sean O'Malley victory, which is more of late, didn't spark anybody to put out a bounty on him.
Right.
And the thing is, why I'm not so upset about this bounty is my first like hearing of so much people saying bounty was this thing that happened in the NFL. The coaches was giving defensive players incentives to injured players, which is something that isn't natural, isn't what they're out there supposed to do. At the end of the day, these guys sign a contract to fight, and the best outcome they can get is to knock somebody out. So he's not giving incentives to do anything wrong. He's giving you incentives to do your job at a better level. So I'm not upset at it.
I think it's just the targeting.
Yes,
targeting. Bro.
But what's worse is targeting John Jones, saying that he's something about his sexuality. Like,
nah, because he didn't put no money on it. It's just stupid conversation. You could ignore it or you could not. But somebody just put money on my head, bro.
It's not the same.
That's a different conversation. Niggas can call me gay online all day long. I don't care, bro.
It's not the same as putting a price on somebody's head, literally. Like, he made it clear this is not.
Right. That's and like I outlined.
This is not something to go assault somebody randomly.
Right.
This is somebody. He's giving incentives to somebody to do their job better, and that's all. So that's why it doesn't bother me. Should a member of the media be doing all of this? No. But from all the things he's done of late, is the least troublesome thing he's done.
I don't know. I feel like even though he did,
it falls under the body shaming. It falls under the.
Nah, because for me, this one like
trying to call somebody gay when
even though
you're the one.
Even though he said
it's weird stuff.
Even though he set all the parameters right, he did that because he realized how wrong what he was asking for really was and how bad it could go because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really need to set parameters when you're asking for something normal.
He just knew that he just knew he had to make himself clear.
Yeah. But, you know, since Mike's with it, then I guess we should put some bounties out.
I didn't say I'm with it. I just said it's the least troublesome thing he's done of late. Like, when you compare it to body shaming somebody, when you yourself just lost a massive amount of weight and apparently was scared to show yourself on camera before that, like, you're just showing your own insecurities, in my opinion. And it's like I said,
he's definitely showing his insecurities in this one because the boy said, "Yo, somebody else knock out Batista. I don't even want to see him in a cage." Could have put himself in a cage to do it, bro. 10K, let's do it.
Who's sanctioning the 250-pounder versus a 135-pounder?
I will, because I know Batista gonna do it to him.
I would hope so. But
all right, that then brings us to probably the most controversial fight of the night.
I heard the judges was doing crazy stuff.
You know?
That was the quotable.
That was the quote. That was the quote of the night.
Juliana
now here's the
Peña
thing.
Here's the
thing.
When asked if she was confident about her winning.
Before you do that, okay? I do want to
delusional.
fully acknowledge. I rewatched the fight because remember I missed the first round. I was tired of shit.
Yeah, the first round was controversial.
I burned out.
I mean, not controversial. It was close enough where you could lean anywhere, but
that's where she gets to win, and the reason she gets to win is because
changing of title, bro.
It's because
I see no outcome where you.
Bro, the reason this is why. Round 2, pretty clear to Juliana. Not a 10-8, but clear 10-9. Round 3, pretty clear to Juliana. Not a 10-8, 10-9.
Round 4.
Round 4, clear to Raquel. Not a 10-8, but a clear 10-9. Round 5, Raquel. Not a 10-8, but a clear 10-9. That leaves us with even scorecards that only has one round to give it to. And round 1 could absolutely go either way because neither of them really did a lot. But if you give it to Juliana, she got a takedown.
Only outcomes I see are draw or Raquel.
She got the takedown in the first round.
Championship advantage is supposed to be a thing.
She got the takedown.
You got to beat the champion.
She got the takedown. And it does not get more competitive than that, bro. I feel like now
had the first round.
Had they give it to Raquel, I wouldn't have had an issue.
Listen, had it been when the first round the way it went, and the second round been Raquel, and the third round been Raquel, and then Juliana won the last 2, I can lean into that a little bit more. But I always come to this conclusion that like if it's this close, where would the fight go if it was a 6th round, or in 3 rounds if it was a 4th round? And Raquel made you feel confident that she. But
that's the wrong hypothetical to use because you have to. The reason that
I'm just saying when it's that close because this was a draw.
But
this was a draw.
But that's it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how close it gets because we don't have an overtime. Right, we've never had an overtime. So that example, we can never look to a point in time.
The championship rounds have always been looked at as more heavy because of, like I said, if there was a 6th round, who would win?
That's not how they look at it.
It's always there's always been winning those championship rounds.
There's tons of fights you could point at where it's the 1st and 2nd round that made the difference.
No, I mean like let's talk about John Jones versus Augustin. You can easily say that Augustin won that fight, but the thing that was most clear in our minds is John Jones almost murdered him in the 5th round.
And that's why you guys are not judges. Because it doesn't matter if you...
But that's how it went.
Have to... But
that's how it went.
But you're judging the fight round by round. So round 1, before we took a break, how did we do? Cool. Round 2, before we take a break, how do we do? Cool. Round 3, before we take a break, how do we do? Round 4, before we take a break, how do we do? All of that matters. The first round should be just as important as the last round. You know why? Because in the first round, we're both fresh. So whatever I'm doing to you in the first round, this is you at your best. 5th round, we both tired as shit. Whatever's happening here is just whoever's better at surviving. And just because you're better at surviving does not mean you're better at fighting. So if that was the case, Cheeto would be champion.
Nah. You have to win the fight. I mean, that's only when these are criteria you only bring up when it's that close. It wasn't close in that. You know what I mean? You're talking about surviving. Like it wasn't close. That wasn't a close fight. Cheeto versus Sean O'Malley.
What do you mean that's not a close? If we're talking about last thing we remember, who took a crazy damaging strike that almost ended the fight?
O'Malley.
What? So the last thing you remember, if there was a 6th round, is he getting up?
How many rounds did he lose?
But if there's a 6th round, is he getting up?
He was already down 3-1.
If there's a 6th round, like you said, right? Because if we talking about the last thing is what changes it, that's why you have to go round by round. You can't count on those odds.
I said that only when it's that close.
But you can't change the parameters based on a situation. There has to be a set of rules.
I'm talking about
everyone can understand.
If you can make a decision, what do you base your decision on? If it's so close to like,
but you should not be in that position because if you judged round by round,
no, I'm talking about
the points are there.
round by round.
But what do you mean? If round by round, round 1, I need to have a score before they start round 2. So by the time we get to round 5, it does not matter what happens there because I already gave a score for the rest. Mm-hmm. I'm not changing my perspective now because no, round 1's already been scored. So now you want me to change my mind because round 5 he almost killed him? No, round 1 you were losing. Round 2 you were like even if it was close, whatever closeness it was, I already made a decision for round 1. There's no way to turn it back.
So you think Juliana won that fight?
On the scorecards, everybody says it. And my only reasoning, as crazy as the judging was all night, they were giving more points to takedowns. They were not more points, but like more value to takedowns in most cases, or the grappling attempts in most cases. The major exception being Carla versus Tisha. And like I said, Carla, I could talk that one out. She's retiring, bro. We don't give a fuck if you win or not. Judges, anyway.
That's terrible.
Judges.
That's terrible.
But we can only assume the inconsistency of judges. We can never really say. All I can say is, for me, the fight was dead even for the last 4 rounds. Judging it round by round,
and if
whatever your thought process was at the end of the first round, that is what decided the fight. Whoever you think won that first round decided that fight.
I thought that was a bad decision, but it wasn't a robbery because it was that close.
And it wasn't that close in a good way is the sad part.
No.
Like it was that close because they were both that inactive. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, it wasn't a great fight. But the people who were fighting made it exciting and interesting because of the tension and the rivalry. Like, we know neither of them really has power in their hands.
Like I've said before, like when you lean into these things,
it gives it some build, you know?
And that's what Juliana does. Like she
knows how to build the fight.
She took the mic like if she was confident she was gonna win. She was like, if anything, she was gonna blame it on the judges if she lost. So I heard the judges were doing some crazy stuff tonight, and to me, I was like, wow, being delusional again, but it sells for her, I guess. I'm not sure.
I don't know about delusional, but
she's a bit delusional, and it doesn't have to be looked at as a negative.
Okay, no, it was a split. I was saying if it was unanimous, she's delusional. If it was unanimous, she's delusional. It should not have been unanimous. The only fight of the night that was absolutely 100% unanimously decided by a fist, besides Joaquin Buckley,
I think everybody owes Khalil a big apology for saying that he didn't belong.
I agree.
Because the only way you witness this kind of greatness out of Alex Pereira is when you have a dance partner. And Khalil was game.
Yeah.
Khalil was game.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Blood dripping down the nose out your interview. There's no doubt you was game, bro.
Yeah. Yes, we've heard that Pereira was dealing with a lot of stuff, but we have Pereira up on a pedestal and we ignore that. He's that good that how is this shorter guy gonna come in and give me a match? He got knocked out by Johnny Walker. All this talk. Khalil was game. He gave us a main event. He gave us a fight. I tip my hat to Khalil for that. Took a beating.
I second that thought, but I would like to add on.
You thought it was too early for him.
I feel like everybody owes Khalil and Pereira an apology. Because y'all niggas hyped Khalil up to a point where you were being disrespectful to Pereira to some extent. Like, the amount of media people that were saying this is going to be the end for Pereira, they were all really saying Khalil had so much of a shot. There were people saying they don't understand why Khalil was an underdog.
No, I don't know where you.
Bro, Chael said Khalil was going to win the fight.
Well, this is the thing.
And Chael's been, listen, anything Chael picks, just go opposite for the rest of the year, bro. He's been wrong the whole year.
I bet on Khalil. Not because I believe Khalil had a chance. I just believe that the odds
said,
there.
why not?
Why not?
Like, what am I losing?
$10 there, and if I lose it, I lose it. If I win, it's a nice little come up. But also I believed he had a chance, just because how powerful he can be and like how vicious he can be sometimes, and that kind of person always has a puncher's chance.
Mm-hmm.
But
except against Pereira, apparently.
But if I owe anybody an apology, it's to Alex, because that chin is ridiculous,
bro.
I don't know that he can be knocked out at this weight class,
bro. Remember when we were talking about? Remember when I was showing you the Izzy fight in slow motion, and I was like, look, I know it's really exciting for the world to look at this and be like, Izzy one-shot Pereira. That is not what happened. It took 3 punches before Pereira stopped moving. The first one is the pretty one.
It also took him to have the false confidence of thinking he was about to get Izzy.
Right. Like he had his hands fully down.
Yeah, like he
fully
he
down.
looked at Izzy as a wounded dog that hadn't
and in that moment, Izzy had to hit him 3 times, bro. And 3 times, 2 of the strikes landed directly on the temple. And that was at
185.
185.
A drained Pereira.
Like that shit is crazy, bro. And
now,
that was the scariest part with the punches in the beginning of the fight, because a couple of those landed, and I was not, like when they landed, I did not get scared for Pereira. I got scared for Khalil. Cause I was like, yo, bro, I know how much you put into that shot.
Yeah, when you put somebody that's that dangerous in that kind of line of fire,
and they eat it,
their return is going to be always crazy.
And they eat it, bro.
And that is the thing about Khalil's powerful striking. When he's throwing that hard, he's definitely leaving himself susceptible, and he didn't shy away from it. There was times
he didn't have to, because like the power was there enough for Pereira to understand, I'm not just going to stay in range where I'm going to actually eat it, right? But the couple of them that Pereira did take full on, like my favorite moment that everybody's highlighting, Pereira's missed head kick, when he slips, falls to the knee, gets yammied, and then just gets right back up like nothing happened, bro. Yeah. No, everybody's acknowledging this as this great moment for Khalil. Yeah, and again, I'm a huge Khalil fan. Like this was the only fight I bet against him, honestly. Mm-hmm. and I still bet on him because I was like, it'd be silly not to. Mm-hmm. But that did nothing to him, bro. Like Pereira got up, like it was like watching an anime, bro. I mean, he got up and turned around, like
he kind of moved his head. He kind of moved his head intelligently to make sure he didn't get hit in a button.
Right, he moved his head so he wouldn't get hit in the right place, because the right place puts anybody out.
But even just having that whereabout is
insanity, bro.
And
it calls back to what he said during the press conference. Khalil is dangerous.
As a drop either. He didn't.
That's what I mean. People are overhyping it for Khalil.
He didn't drop him.
I love Khalil, but that's not the one.
He didn't drop him.
But what really is fascinating is like calling back to the press conference itself. Pereira said this is how he was going to do it. He actively said, "Hey, Khalil is really dangerous. I'm going to let him gas out over the first 2 rounds and then use my IQ, probably get him in the 3rd. And he almost got him at the end of the 3rd.
Just more game.
That shit is a demon level of fight technique, bro.
Listen,
who do we actually want to see Pereira against next? I know my answer already, but who do we actually want to see Pereira against next?
If he does take a nice little break.
Fuck a break. I want kickboxer Pereira, bro. We only got Pereira for another 2 years. He's turning 40, bro.
Well, he said he'll possibly take a little break, but you know what's gonna happen?
Only because he was sick. They're gonna call him in January.
A card's gonna need saving.
He gonna throw his cape on.
But I don't know. I don't know if he'll be in this division. I think Ankalaev has to have a nice showing to bring him out. If he doesn't have a nice showing, it'd be Tom Holland at heavyweight, which might be a tall order, man.
I think Pereira, no matter what happens, fights the winner of Ankalaev Rakic. And the reason I believe that is because, and this was sitting on my mind for a little while, but I didn't really put it together because it just felt so far. But now that it's more in front of us, it sounds more realistic, right? Alexander Rakic is not some random light heavyweight. He's the guy that they were propping up to be champion for a while until I think it was Yuri stopped his path. Both times. Both times he stopped his path, right? Like first it was the injury and then the actual knockout. So this is now the moment where it's like, word, Ankalaev is actually next.
He had a lot of success.
He had a lot of success.
Jerry was in trouble.
A lot of success. So now Rakic is up in the equation versus Ankalaev, right? Ankalaev has been the contender for the longest, but UFC hasn't really been pushing him. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I don't want to speculate too much.
There's definitely some...
On the Rakic side, they have been pushing him. They have been pushing and promoting. So if Rakic goes out there and puts on a show, that's Pereira's next fight, bro. So right now, I think Pereira's going to hang out. I think Pereira's going to hang out in the light heavyweight division, right? John Jones, Stipe is going to get situated. Then whatever is going to happen there is going to get situated for the heavy belt for unification. Once it's fully unified and Alex has defended his light heavy one more time, then we'll see him go up and go for triple.
Yeah, I can see that. But how long that takes might be long.
I say 6 months.
Oh, man.
John Jones is retiring, bro. John Jones and Stipe Miocic are going to be the first fighters in history to retire simultaneously, bro. UFC's already putting the broadcast together, I fucking promise.
Tom will probably have to fight somebody else to unify the belt.
Right, which will happen in the time frame of Alex fighting Rakic.
That's why I don't think 6 months is very realistic.
Tom doesn't have anything booked right now.
Yeah.
Anybody's available in heavyweight once these two guys retire.
They're not going to book it till after Stipe Jones.
Right.
So,
but they're already building that whole retirement broadcast party, bro. By the time they announce their retirement, we're gonna wake up the next day and know who Tom Holland's fighting.
It's very realistic. I
said Tom Holland. I'm bugging. Tom Aspinall.
Yo. I said that too.
Spider-Man's gonna be fighting heavyweight, bro.
I think I might have said Holland too. That's crazy.
Yo, that's wild.
I'm sleepy. I don't know what's your excuse.
I heard it from you clearly. Like I just went with what I just heard you say.
Possibly. But Tom is in an interesting position. He always wants to stay active, but at this point, his best bet is to stick around, see what happens.
The heavyweight situation right now, the problem for heavyweight right now is that there's nobody Tom wants to fight besides John Jones, right? And because of that, they haven't booked him for anything.
He's beat everybody, or whoever he's beat them. That's
Nasser Ogan.
You saying that the people he beat hasn't beat him?
Right. The only person Sirgan lost to is Ngannou and Jones.
Yep. So that's why the UFC is like forcing that down our throat and rebooking him versus Volk.
Correct. To prove that Gon can wrestle now, because Volk's going to come and wrestle heavy based on what we just saw.
He couldn't wrestle before and he beat Volk.
Right,
the question is, now you got to tell Volk, like, you better be shooting for takedown. We're trying to see that this guy.
Well, I think that's why they booked Volk before Aspinall, because they saw
at least now Volk
go for more takedowns against
at least he now has the blueprint that, this is what Gon can't do.
Right. Now there's a technique there. He just did it to Sergey, so it's more valuable. Plus, it gives us an interesting contender that that again Aspinall hasn't beat. So that's the pathway there. And I think, like I said, everything lines up to make that make sense as far as the way it's all lined up right now.
It's not complicated math there.
So I say if I was to bet on when we're gonna see these fights, I would say Pereira's next fight is probably January or February, right? Unless he does a saving thing again and he saves Madison Square Garden, which is super unlikely because that's 8 weeks away.
Yeah,
that's super unlikely.
That was also the talks about
him fighting December is more likely.
Tom is the backup fighter for the John Jones Stipe.
Right. But there's conversations that neither one of them want to fight him.
Well, it's not that there's conversation. DC all but guaranteed.
Well, he wasn't the only one.
Huh?
He wasn't the only one.
I'm just saying he all but guaranteed that none of these guys are gonna fight Tom.
Right.
They're on their retirement path and they want to fight each other and nobody else. And that this backup fighter is almost pointless because it's not contracted that they have to fight him.
Right.
So what's gonna happen is if one of them pull out, they'd probably be calling for Gon to fight Aspinall for that belt. And
Gon will have been just coming off of a win.
What if by that time Gon already fights Volk?
That's what's happening.
Because they rebooking it, but we don't know when. That was an injury, but they rebooking it. I don't think we know when yet.
I think they already booked it, no? Let's find out together.
No, I don't think so. I think they said they're gonna rebook it, but it's not yet. I don't believe so.
Oh no.
So that could easily make it for them to call Pereira and just have him save it instead of.
But Pereira against who?
Against Tom. He said he doesn't want to fight for the interim, but if you say that's it, that's enough. Waiting for Stipe and John.
Right, like we still get the fight between them down the line, but it doesn't have to be for the belt. Why is that so difficult?
But it will be for the belt because I think if Stipe, John, one of them pull out already.
No, I'm saying the fight between Stipe and John. Like if we don't get it right now for the belt, yes, we need to move the division along. We can still watch Joe versus Stipe anytime, bro. We're still interested in that.
But it'll be controversial because John would have never lost the belt.
That's true
because of injuries.
That's true. No, Gon is not rebooked yet. But you know what is booked? Some exciting stuff we got coming up this weekend. And that is Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira headlining a nice little UFC fight night that I'm a little bit less excited by. If you don't know, you got to check out last week's episode. And I'll give you, and you can figure out why. But in the meantime, I am still very excited to see Chris Barnett versus Junior Tafa. And I'm more excited about this because of getting to see Chris Barnett still fight. It's been a while since we saw him fight. Last time we saw him fight, he had some sort of a weird, like, face mystery stroke type injury where it just looked like things were not looking good for Chris Barnett. Yeah. I didn't like the way he looked. But I'm excited to see him back. I hope everything is 100% okay.
Well, he got the win. Don't forget that.
He did get the win.
Don't forget that.
Yeah,
he got the win.
Yeah. But it was one of those situations where it looks like you didn't win.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty bad. What I'm surprised by is the opponent. Right? And we understand it's a short notice booking, but I feel like Junior Tafa shouldn't be back in the cage yet. Didn't he just have the issue with Walter Walker? Where he attacked Walker after losing the fight to him? Like, this kind of feels like the wrong direction to go as far as after that type of behavior. If anything, maybe Walter should have been the one. But I can understand why you wouldn't put Walter because they're in too close of a ranking position. So either way, excited to see the fight. Really hoping.
I actually thought it was Justin Tafa, not Junior.
Was it Justin?
I thought it was.
Damn it, I always mix them up. I thought Justin was the older one.
Yeah, I believe so.
Justin's the older one. No, so it was Junior. Yeah, we could just check.
But I just thought that it was Justin that was booked, not him. And I almost
Junior.
I almost want to believe that Waldo told us it was Justin.
No, he said Tafa, and then we looked up to see which one it was. But I think we said Junior on the show.
I'm pretty sure I said Justin.
That's hilarious. So we'll see how that plays out. But what I am really excited about, and I cannot wait to see what the odds for this are, my boy Themba Gorimbo versus Nico Price. If you're not familiar with Themba Gorimbo, he is the UFC fighter with the biggest cosign from The Rock in the form of an actual house. The Rock heard Themba's incredible travel story, very similar to Francis Ngannou, crazy, wild adventure into getting into the UFC. And The Rock loves him, loves his story, bought him a house. And Themba has been working his ass off to prove that he was worth The Rock's blessing. And he has been doing so nonstop to this point. And I think that is going to continue against Nico Price.
I mean, Nico Price is always an exciting fighter. But you know Themba's my boy. That's my boy.
I thought you was about to go the other way with it, man. I thought you was about to defend him a bit, man.
Nico Price is always exciting, but he's kind of chinny sometimes.
Super chinny, man. And Nico Price always puts himself in positions to get knocked out, even when he's winning the fight. And I think that's his biggest problem.
Yeah, he's a warrior.
He's a warrior that he kind of falls into that.
He's not exactly known for his fight IQ.
Right, his IQ or his defense.
Which is one of those things that, like, we love to see him fight, but sometimes if you're a fan, you want him to be smarter. But
yes, way smarter. Another interesting fight coming up
fights.
is going to be Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini. I'm interested in this fight because Pat Sabatini is one of those guys who's similar to like Bo Nickel, where he came in with this very high amount of praise, was really killing things, and then lost one fight, and it kind of felt like that was the end. You know, like he just kind of got crushed in that. Jonathan Pierce, on the other hand, is coming in being the thing I just described for Pat Sabatini, where like he's coming in with a decent amount of hype, really delivering incredible performances, and I think he's actually coming off of a knockout his last fight, if I remember correctly. Correct, Pierce Onama.
No, he lost.
He did lose, and I think it was by decision. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he lost
two straight losses.
2 straight losses. Ooh, this is a redemption fight. Okay. Let's see what you gonna bring to the table. I think they're both redeeming themselves because I think Pat Sabatini is coming off of a win, but a loss right before that. A loss right before that. He just lost to Diego Lopez, but that ages super well. You always got to keep in mind who they lose to. That ages super well. So he's a mixed bag right now. So this is going to be 2 very interesting mixed bag guys. So Diego Lopez is the one who stole Pat Sabatini's shine very quickly. Whoa, this is mine now. Then we got CJ Vergara against Ramazan Temirov. I'm not sure who that is, but I do always enjoy me a good CJ Vergara fight. He's in the flyweight category, which is, in my opinion, one of the most exciting fight category divisions, even though they don't get a lot of finishes, just because they're so active. Like their cardio is through the roof. They're so small. Like it's craziness.
CJ remind me of that dude from All American that was hating on Spencer.
Yo, I thought that was him, bro. For the longest time, I swore, like every time I saw him in an episode, I was like, yo, I gotta remember to watch the credits to see if it was actually CJ.
I want to remember his name.
That was great.
I think his name was Fausto or something like that in the show.
Yeah. We're gonna have to look that up. That's hilarious. But this right here is probably the fight that I'm most excited for, and it is because, similar to the Waldo fight, I have a relationship with these guys' family. Chidi and Njokuani, I was made some good friends with his brother Anthony while we were out in Vegas for Waldo's fight in January of this year, and always been a big fan of Chidi, but it was just really cool to connect with the family. Anthony is also an amazing MMA artist as well, MMA fighter as well. So check out some of his fights. He's also coaching a couple of really dope guys right now. So check out the Njokuani family. They're really dope guys. And he's facing Jared Gooden. I know I gave so much hype to Chidi just now that it's really hard to follow that up for Jared in any way. Sorry, Jared. Rooting for Chidi. And I think he's going to get this done pretty quickly.
I'm not familiar with either fighters. I can't remember.
Well, you know Chidi Bang Bang. Let me pull up a couple guys for you real quick. Show you some heaters that my guy Chidi's been involved in. Let's see. Oh, the Saychek, that was a bad fight in my opinion. The McGee one, that was a weird decision. I'm on. Oh, I didn't click it. Load, fool. It's not loading. Doesn't want to load more.
Yeah, I don't think I watched either of those fights though.
No? Mm-mm. Oh man, I was really upset with the Saychek fight because that knockout was really painful to watch. But besides that, Chidi's that guy. He's fun, really fun. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Josh Fremd. You'll recall Abdul from a few weeks ago calling out our current champion DDP.
Man, the wild boy. I hope he can tame his wildness and show off that explosiveness, man.
Against Josh Fremd is going to be tough, though.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
Maybe that fight, bringing that big fight will...
I feel like this is going to remind us of Cedric Dumas versus Josh Fremd. Where Josh Fremd is going to show up with a wrestling great game that they just weren't ready for. But I'm still really excited for the fight because, like I said, that last press interview, Abdul made me a super fan.
Abdul's always going to have a chance with the kind of power he throws with. So
let's see. Daniel Rodriguez lost me after the way he lost to Ian Gary versus the Great White. That's going to be a quick fight.
I don't know.
I don't know either of these.
That might be a boring one.
I don't know either of them. Not really that excited for that.
Carrot Dawson.
This one,
Yeah.
just roll on past. And then we finish up with Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira, which should be a really exciting flyweight
I
bout.
feel like this got booked immediately after Tyra's last fight. I feel like the fans booked it. We didn't give the UFC a chance.
I think they booked this. Whose fight? Who fought last? Was it Brandon or Tatsuro?
Tatsuro fought Alex Perez.
Okay.
Alex Perez's knee gave out.
Yeah. Okay.
And immediately people were saying this is Brandon Royval.
Well, yeah, this is definitely the fight to make because ultimately Brandon's already took his shot at the title twice.
He lost to him 3 times.
Right, he lost to him 3 times. So now we're in a situation where we have another Max Holloway Volk, right? Where like if people can't get through Brandon, we have to now put him in positions where they have to skip Brandon to get to the championship shot because Brandon can't beat fucking Pantoja. Like,
listen, Pantoja's done something very interesting to that weight class, which is why it hurt me to see Mighty Mouse retire without coming back. He should have came back home for a nice little run. If nothing, he would have solidified the fact that Pantoja is the best one.
I think if he would have come back, I'm really glad he didn't because there's a strong part of my heart that believes if he came back and dominated the division again, Dana White shuts the division down for sure.
No. Because if he would have came back, it would have been for a fight or 2. And then the division was...
I'm always worried about champions coming back because they dominate. If they dominate the division, it makes the division look bad.
I think what is true today wasn't true back then. Remember when we were talking about Muhammad Makhachev being cut and how it doesn't hurt the division when you have so many young killers. What they didn't have back then was these young killers, which is why I wanted to shut down the division. So I don't even think the flyweight division is in danger anymore. I could be wrong. But I do think the difference is there wasn't a top 15 back then. There was a top 3.
Yeah.
And they were going to keep rotating, fighting
and that
each
was
other.
it. Right.
Now
there's a little bit more.
They proved just recently with Astro Boy getting a title shot while being ranked number 8.
No, Rountree was 8.
He might have been ranked number 9 or 10.
Urseg was 10.
And he lost by 1 round where he, as the cards were being read, he visibly is upset at himself because he went for a submission when he could have tried to win the round. And
by the ground and pound.
And he would have won by decision.
Won the fight. Well, let us know in the comments below what you think of the divisions. I'm satisfied with the way Mighty Mouse retired. I'm looking forward to Tatsuro Taira hopefully beating Brandon Royval. That's what I'm looking forward to. So then we see Tatsuro Taira versus Pantoja. I think that'll be a really interesting matchup.
I think Pantoja is going to do that or move up.
I think he should move up. But he's too short to move up is the problem.
I think he gives them problems, man. I don't think he gives Merab problems. I think he gives the Sean O'Malley's kind of guys problems.
Yes, for sure. All right, well, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you guys for hanging out with the Main Event Fightcast. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at WhatUpVega. If you want to follow Coach Mike, follow him at SFBigMike. And as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next week, where hopefully Tatsuro Taira is one step closer to getting that belt.